Hello learners and welcome today to Englishacker. Thank you so much for joining me today. Okay, so first of all, who am I? My name is Carmen and I'm from London. I'm from England. I was born there and I raised there. I was studied all my life there, but currently I live in Spain, in Alicante. I moved here about 3 years ago to Spain with no knowledge of Spanish whatsoever. And in 4 months, I managed to go from zero to being fluent. Okay, so today I'm going to be telling you about my journey. Okay, first of all, the pains of studying, right? I understand all of your pains. When I first started learning Spanish, I took on the traditional methodology. I studied prepositions, verbs, grammars, tenses, gerunds, all of those things that were really typically boring, frustrating, difficult to use, didn't improve my speaking. I wasted lots and lots of money on books, on one-to-one teachers, on group classes, on all of these things, which you guys probably have been through the same as I did when I learned Spanish, if not for longer. Okay, but the problem was I still couldn't speak any Spanish, and in your case you probably still can't speak very well English, or at least you're not fluent. Okay, long hours of studying, but you're still in the same place as where you started. You still feel embarrassed when somebody speaks to you, or you feel uncomfortable when you speak to somebody in English, and it's not fluent, it's not nice. Okay, well, I'm here to tell you that I felt exactly the same way as you when I first started learning Spanish. And well, I don't want the same for you. I don't want you to continue on this long journey. I'm here to show you there is an easier way. Okay, you don't need to sign up to an academy, drive there long hours, or walk there after work, spend hours there, and then end up going home, wasting time, going through a lot of stress studying, spending money on courses, spending your time on doing the courses, learning all about grammar, studying for ridiculous long hours on top of working, which is what I did, and still not knowing how to speak. Okay, I don't want this for you, because I experienced it when I was learning Spanish, and I absolutely think it's not the way forward. Okay, I'm here today to change your perspective. I'm here to show you and tell you there is a new system, a new way to educate yourself, to motivate yourself, and to become employed and get a job that you like and you enjoy doing, get that promotion that you want, change you and take you from failure to success and succeeding 10 times faster, but only if you want it. Okay, I'm here to change your perspective in life if you want to take my advice. Okay, so who am I? Why would you take my advice? Well, my name's Carmen, as you know, and I was a top student in school. I studied really hard during my college years, and I got into a top tier university. I got into Manchester University, which is in the north of England. I studied a psychology degree, and after my psychology degree, I took on a criminology master's. Okay, and unlike other students, after graduating from my criminology masters, I was hired from a top UK law firm to work directly after graduating. Okay, I studied in Manchester, and therefore I got my job directly in Manchester. And a few months later, I was promoted and promoted again until a very high position. And my boss in London, because my firm was an international firm, one of the legal 500s, she actually took me from Manchester and moved me down to London to help train other lawyers. Okay, so it was a fantastic opportunity, fantastic job position that I had, and I made plenty of money because she transferred me down to London for an extra £10,000 salary. Imagine that. Okay. Sounds like I had the perfect life, right? Parties, drinking. I was a lawyer, so I made plenty of money. I had a secure job. I worked there for 4.5 years, and on top of that, I've been promoted several times. I enjoyed my work, and I had a good life. Plenty of friends, plenty of everything. And when I moved back home to London, life was even better for me. But there was difficulties, okay? I had to travel to work for 2 hours every single day. You can see there getting on public transport every day, because normally you don't drive to work in London. It's too busy. Very stressful, peak times, traveling. It was a very stressful job that I did. It was a desk job. And what did that lead to? Well, it led me put on a lot of weight. You can see here, I'm a little bit tubby there, and I needed some help. So like a normal person, a sane person, what did I do? Well, I got myself a personal trainer, okay? So personal trainer is somebody who helps you train in the gym to get better, to lose some weight, tone up your muscles, and get fit again, okay? My strong belief is that if you want something different, you have to do something different, like the fish in a fishbowl there, jumping from one fishbowl to another, because in order to make a change in your life, in order to attain something different, you have to do something different. Okay, so what did I do differently? Well, my personal trainer was called David Lopez, and he allowed me in 3 months to lose all of my weight. You can see my little belly here, it's all gone in this picture. 3 months it took him and took us to train. This is kind of where my story begins, really. I realized at this point that David Lopez, my personal trainer, he wasn't just any normal guy, okay? I started spending more time with him, training 5 times a week, listening to his problems. He listened to my problems, and we built a nice relationship together. And it was at that point I realized he was charismatic, he was sweet, he was charming, he was muscular. Look at those muscles. And I completely fell in love. But we hit another problem here. He was a Spanish guy, and he wanted to move back to Spain. We had had some discussions, and I know you're all aware it's very expensive to raise children in London, and it's very, very expensive to raise more than one child as well. And we wanted to have 4 children. Insane, right? Okay, so the only thing I could do, the only way forward, was to quit my job and go to Spain with him. Okay, that was my big plan. I knew this, he knew this, that when you're in love, you can't fall asleep, because reality is better than your dreams. In this case, it was true for the both of us. We couldn't sleep because we had so many plans together. There was no other way but for me to quit my long-term job that paid plenty of money, and move to Spain, into a place that was outside of my comfort zone. Why? To spend the rest of my life with the man that I love, of course. So what did I have to do to make this work? Well, I am a very, very independent person. I've supported myself my entire life, working hard. I had 3 jobs while doing my undergraduate degree. I actually ran my own charity as well on the weekends. I held a running course, which is 5 kilometers, free for everyone. I had a couple of famous people attending too to my charity event. And on top of that, I love expensive things. I love shoes. I love nice clothes. I love expensive things. Doesn't everybody, right? What did I have to do in order to maintain this expensive lifestyle that I've always had? Well, I needed to find a job, and I needed to learn Spanish ASAP, ASAP, as soon as possible. And that was my big plan, okay? But there were obstacles, and there have been plenty of barriers that I have had to go through, like this little man here, that I don't want you to go through. I don't want you to make the same mistakes as me. I want to show you this methodology right now, how you can learn 10 times faster. Okay, so why, first of all, has learning English been so hard? Well, because there have been obstacles, okay? So in my case, you learned that I finally found the love of my life. I was engaged to be married. I planned to move to Spain, to get a job, to live my happily ever after, okay? All of these things motivating me to learn English. Perhaps those things sound familiar to you. If not, what about these? Moving abroad. Maybe it's been your lifelong dream to move to another country and get a better job. Or maybe you need to move abroad to become an engineer or become a scientist or become whatever it is that you need to become or you want to become. And it's a better prospect abroad. Maybe you make more money. Maybe it's been your lifelong goal to travel away from home, to go traveling and go to an English-speaking country. Maybe you want to leave home, or you have to leave home because you don't have a job and you don't make enough money. Maybe those things sound more familiar. In my case, well, I was planning to move abroad to Spain because I fell in love. And the first thing I had to do was to tell my family. And what happened when I told my family? Well, my mother said to me, "Don't be silly. You don't even speak the language," she said. "Get David to support you because I'm not paying for you to go abroad." She gave me an ultimatum. If you leave your comfortable job in London, well, don't expect me to support you because you're going to need support, she said. And that's when I realized it was my point of no return. There was no going back. If I moved to Spain, I had to prove to myself that I could make it. And I had to prove to my parents that they were wrong. Okay, so what did I have to do? Doing all the things that you probably are doing right now. Learning a language, preparing to move abroad. So before I moved to Spain, I signed up to a Spanish academy in London. Every single night after work, after working my long day job, I studied hard. I bought grammar books. I studied in the academy, in group classes and individual classes as well. Spent long hours studying grammar on top of all things. I hate grammar. And if anything, I even hate more Spanish grammar. I don't know, like why, for example, do you have masculine and feminine items in Spanish? A shoe. Give you an example. A shoe is a masculine item in Spanish. El zapato. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, women have much nicer shoes and more shoes. So why is this a masculine item? It should definitely be a feminine item, okay? But I digress. Okay, so I had passed every level of Duolingo, the typical translation gaming software that everyone signs up to that's free, okay? I passed every level of that stuff. Before I moved to Spain, I had plenty of Spanish grammar knowledge. I knew all the verbs and tense endings. But could I speak Spanish? Absolutely not. I remember this moment where I sat down at the lunchtime table with my mother-in-law, so that's David's mother, and she served me this plate of purple, slimy something, okay? And I wanted to know what it was. I wanted to ask her what it was that she had cooked me, that she wanted me to eat. And I opened my mouth and nothing came out. I couldn't ask her the question. I didn't know what to say. I had all the verbs available, but it meant nothing. I couldn't string sentences together to speak to her. Okay, I definitely thought it was going to be easier. So I went back to the drawing board. I went back to level 1 again, back to my books, got myself a Spanish teacher. Now that I was in Spain, I quit my job already. There was no going back. I got myself an individual Spanish teacher. And what did she do? She taught me more grammar, of course. We went through exam papers. We did the traditional educational process, studying grammar, studying verbs, studying about the environment, about recycling, and all those typical topics that English teachers make you learn, okay? Terrifying, terribly boring, a waste of time, okay? Because it was at that point where I realized, why? Why was I doing it? All I wanted was somebody to help me speak. I wanted to ask the question, what that was at lunchtime or dinner. I wanted to speak to people. I wanted to have a discussion. I don't care about recycling. I don't care about global warming. It's not something I want to discuss either in English or in Spanish. And I still couldn't speak. And even when I did want to speak to somebody, well, there were more barriers. People didn't want to speak to me. They struggled to understand me. I didn't understand them. It was very embarrassing. And I only had David's friends to interact with. That really just wasn't the best situation for me, okay? So there are so many difficulties. I understand that they're probably the same difficulties that you're facing right now. It's too hard. It's too boring. There's not enough time in my day. The teachers are like prison guards, okay? Security guards. And I feel like a prisoner when I'm learning English. And everything is impossible, okay? Well, let me show you how to avoid these mistakes and how through my big secret on learning 10 times faster, how you can study English effectively. Okay, so English hacking is what I do, okay? We've looked at all these issues. Maybe you signed up for group classes in the past and you've been too afraid to ask questions. You've been too afraid to interact in the group classes. It's uncomfortable, right? I felt like this girl here when the teacher asked a question. I didn't know what to say. I felt uncomfortable and I didn't really react in group classes. I found that very embarrassing and I struggled so badly to speak, even though I wanted to speak. It was my desire. I needed to speak in order to move abroad, but it doesn't stop being afraid. Okay, so let me go back to the drawing board. So for me as a psychologist, I understood that you are born with language. It's something that I remember doing at university. Think about it. A baby learns how to speak through replication, through mirroring, through copying other people. You don't throw grammar books at babies and then they suddenly know how to speak. Well, no, they speak through replication and mirroring, okay? There's this funny picture here which says that children do dumb kid things. Adults should not do dumb kid things. Well, this is an incorrect thought process. Children are born with the ability to communicate. The way that they communicate is the optimized way to learn. You're born with it. It's inbuilt. So why are we doing something different as an adult? We should be doing what they do. And what is that thing? Conversation exchange. Applying that in English terms, it's practicing speaking to David's family in my case. I asked David to stop translating. At first, I sounded terrible. It felt awkward. It was like playing taboo all day long. But the more conversations I had, the better I got, and the better I got, and the better I got, and I improved my speaking skills. So here's an example in a flow diagram form. In conversation exchange, you can have one conversation, not know how to say something, and then don't speak, okay? You can be amazing at grammar. Yeah, you can be the top scoring on every English game that there is, but you're not learning anything, okay? Or you could take the second path, which is having one conversation, not knowing what to say, rephrasing your question and listening to the answer and adding the new knowledge that people give you to your vocabulary list. And that is the best way to absorb language, to do like the way children do, okay? Conversation exchange. What does that mean? It means 89,526,124 poor quality conversations. That's about 2 to 3 months, okay, before I finally found my voice. And that is 185,244 successful conversations where I could communicate. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I still today sound like a foreigner, okay? But there has been 100% progress. I can now ask my mother-in-law to pass me the bread if I want some at lunchtime or at dinner time, which I could not do with all my grammar knowledge, okay? So what is the point of this emotional roller coaster that I put you on today? Well, I'm here today to tell you that I know how you feel. I've been through it. I know that it's frustrating, it's time consuming. I know all the difficulties that you face because I went through them myself. And I don't know about you, but I connect much better with teachers who understand how I feel and know what it is that I want to know and I want to learn. And that's what I'm here today to tell you, is that I found a system that worked where you can learn English 10 times faster than the traditional school methodology. If you learn through my methodology, I am sure that you can succeed in exactly the same way as me and faster. It took me 4 months to build up my knowledge and understand a system that works and then apply the system. Well, for you, it will take a lot less time because you just have to apply what I give you, and I'm giving it to you on a plate. You can succeed in a lot less time and save a lot more money doing it this way, okay? So how do you feel right now? I know you're feeling like the girl in the picture, like a load of water just splashed into your face, blasted there, and like you're just ready to scream because it's a lot of information to take in, okay? Understanding that the old methodology that you've been learning your whole life is now irrelevant. Well, understanding that itself is going to take some time to absorb in. You have to correct your behavior and the way that you learn. Because let's face it, the educational system in the past was built for our ancestors, for people who lived in the past. Now we live in a modern age of technology, and we need to continue to use these types of technologies to learn and comprehend. Why are we learning in this historical, ancestral way? Education hasn't changed over time, but we have, and we should change the way that we learn, okay? But we have to start somewhere, right? If you have any questions, just pop them in the chat box below, or if you're not watching this webinar live, well, leave me a message by email and I'll respond to you, or on YouTube, whatever, I'll respond to you if you leave me a message in the comments. The important thing is to stop translating and start playing taboo, having conversation exchange. Okay, it's key. So Carmen, you're saying, what do you have to help me? Well, I'm here to tell you that I have developed a system that I'm calling English hacking. And English hacking is the way forward. And if you want to learn more about my methodology or about tips and tricks of the trade from a native person, well, just click on the button below and fill out the form. Whether you're in the webinar or watching a replay of this video, just fill out the form and I'll see you in the next video with more tips and tricks on how to improve your English 10 times faster, okay? Remember, you are just one conversation away. Whether that one conversation is getting a new job, or getting a job because you haven't got one, moving abroad if you want to go abroad, making more money if you're an entrepreneur, getting more clients, okay? You're just one conversation away. from all of those things. So it's not goodbye right now. It's see you later and see you in the next video.